How would you like to get a startup business loan up to $350,000 through the Community Advantage Loan Program underneath these SBA 7A, PPP, EIDL Employee Retention Tax Credit, Business Funding 101? These are a lot of the things I will be sharing with you in this video. So please stick with me until the very end so you get all the fruits, the potatoes, the meat and potatoes. And so you're not left in the unknown wondering, will I make that next mistake again? Will I go to the right service? Will I fill out the right questionnaire and or application? And you're not wasting days, weeks, months, and even years of sifting through old, outdated, and scammy type of information. But before I get started, if this is the first time you're watching me, my name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions, and I come out with all type of business funding content, anything you can think of with the SBA related, as well as private lending, non-private lending, building business credit, fixing, improving credit repair, and all different types of services. So if you're watching me right now, please give me a hashtag live in the comments so I know you're right here. And if you will be watching on the replay, please give me a hashtag replay. This is more of a spontaneous live. I did not schedule this. So if you're wondering, where's that email he usually sends me? Just be aware that this is a spontaneous one. And I wanted to bring this to your attention because I've been getting it day in and day out lately more than ever on this $350,000 business funding that the SBA 7A is giving to underserved communities, and how these lenders in these communities can help you, how to find them, what are the details about it, and so much more. At any moment, please feel free to leave me a comment, and I will try to answer as I go along, or I will leave it towards the end. But I'm going to go into my document that I've put together here a long time ago, and I just updated over time. And I want you to learn a little bit about what this Community Advantage Loan Program is. It's intended to help startups fund, and if you're a completely new startup, it can help as well with pre-revenue, no revenue being generated. All you have to come up with is a business plan, and I'll be getting into bits of details how to put a business plan together, and I can help you with this stuff as well. Also owned by women, minorities, and veteran businesses. It's more for a risky type of business. So it could possibly be in the insurance space, hospital care. It can be a lot of them. There's a lot of risky businesses out there, accounting side, legal businesses, even real estate, and so forth. So I'll be getting into that here in this document. And then I'll be jumping into the share screen to show you a few things on how you can go and locate these lenders. So it's not directly in-house. It's in-house by the SBA, but the lenders are picked up in a different way. They don't operate the same way they would with an SBA 7A loan through the standard, the express, the small business, a cap line, and there's a few more other SBA 7A programs, which, by the way, I've made content in the past on SBA 7A loans. So if you want to learn more about those and 504, please look in the description. I made a few complete videos on those, went into them very in depth, how to get started, the application process, and what you would need to do, as well as another alternative to this Community Advantage loan, which you may already know about, is the microloan program, where you can get up to $50,000 on average. Most people get $13,000. Again, it could be an underserved area, and there are a lot of more places that it could be utilized in. So I'll leave more information on that down below, but we're going to focus on the SBA Community Advantage Loan. So for businesses that have been in underserved markets, these are the SBA Community Advantage Loans. It's more called a pilot loan, and the reason this is because it isn't offered like all year round. And if it is, it's only offered for a short amount of time. It can be offered for a few years and then it's gone. You don't see it. And this is why I haven't really spoken about it up until this point. Not only because I've talked to people like today, I've spoken to people last week about this program because they're being more well aware of it. And they're thinking, hey, can I actually get business funding into this? And like any other type of startup funding, what I want to keep you in the frame of mind on is it always isn't easy. Just because you have easier access, like with these and the microloans, to go and submit a grant or go submit a loan, and it's easier to go through than other forms of SBA 7As, doesn't necessarily mean that you will get plenty of lenders in your community or that they will even be reaching out to you. They all have different criteria that they need to meet. They may be helping minority-owned businesses more so, women entrepreneurs at one point, and they may not be allocating these funds over here to help out this specific industry. But what I always tell business owners is, if you have experience, like I've spoken to many people recently, I've been hearing you very closely. If you're one of them, probably operated a business some time ago, you had to shut it down, you had to sell it, whatever you had to do. Perhaps you filed bankruptcy at one point. You didn't understand how to get an SBA loan, because if you did, you would have taken advantage of it. I hear it a lot of times. And so can be your opportunity right here, because you also have previous experience. Maybe you have another business and there's another one you're trying to get a startup running for it. And this isn't the only way. There are other funding solutions through private lenders. So I'm going to link you to those down below. And there will be a questionnaire form for you to fill out. And I'll show you how that looks like towards the end of this video. But literally, you can fill it out in less than 30 seconds. It'll land in my email, where then I will analyze and evaluate it and give you a proper response back on your best funding option and options broken down very thoroughly, from the intro all the way to the conclusion, the meat and the potatoes, which is the body. And that includes the qualifications, how they work, the different types of services, bonus tips, bonus material, conclusion on what I would do. So make sure you check that out down below. That'd be the fastest way to get a hold of me. And I can also include this in there. So these are partially guaranteed loans, as you may already know about the SBA 7A. That's what they are. They're an alternative to the EIDL, which I have been coming out with content recently on what the EIDL positioning is on that. How those of you who have received an email, there are still funds, reserve funds being dispersed, but it may not be as fast as it was before the May 6th deadline. And on the May 6th deadline, these can take a little bit more time for you to get your funds. And in some cases, it can be in 2 to 4 weeks, if not more. Traditionally speaking, with SBA loans, a lot of cases you see it being a month to 3 months out. So just be careful of that. If you haven't looked through your emails, if you haven't received that, look in all folders so you know it's there. And if it isn't, there are these kinds of programs for more of these newly established startup businesses. So I'm going to get into right now on my document, what are these SBA Community Advantage loans and how they can help you. But it was something brought around 2011, and then it had been closed around 2020. And so it has been reopened lately until the extension of 2024, supposedly. But anytime they can close that down and say, we're not helping right now. We have allocated enough funds with our lenders, and they have the final say that they don't want to continue doing that. So keep that in the back of your mind. So let's talk about if it's right for your business. So these are SBA loans, again, that are housed underneath the SBA 7A loan program. And it's a pilot program. As I said, it's not dispersed all year round, or it's not always being offered. So when it is, it's something to get on top of. And it has been extended, like I said, up to September 30th, 2024. I'm just going through all my points and what I've spoken with lenders about. And so let me go into this a little bit more. Let me find my notes on a specific section that I want to jump into before I go into this next part. And again, I'm going to try to answer your guys' questions as I go along. I see some of you guys questioning, and if I don't get to them, right away, I will get to them at the end. So it was brought on more for like credit purposes and technical issues that a lot of businesses were facing. And so this was a program that was pushed. It just wasn't hugely utilized. It was kind of like the employee retention tax credit. At a point, it was pretty difficult to get qualified for because there weren't that many lenders. But because of the onslaught of this economy and the market that we're in today, this is a program that's very attractive to more so startups that's newly established. Perhaps you started an LLC some time ago, but you haven't been in operation, pre-revenue, maybe even just a little bit of revenue, but it's completely those. You can have some revenue and now you're not in operation. So you can say I had money coming in 6-7 months ago, but I'm not in full operation now. That can be something that's helpful. So we all have a lot of setbacks, and just know you're not the only one. I've been in your position. I know how difficult it is to get SBA funding, let alone go through a private lender. It isn't. And especially having the credit profile, collateral, and cash flow needed to overcome all this with an SBA is primarily what they look at. It can be a little bit difficult. So first and foremost, the SBA 7A loans, like the standard, express, cap lines, and there are quite a bit more, are issued by SBA lenders like national, regional, by local banks, credit unions. The SBA Community Advantage loans are issued by specific lenders who are enrolled in this program, and they're more working within the community. So you get a cross of like micro loan lenders who will also cross into this type of lending space. Intermediary lending pilot, ILP is for short, program intermediaries as well. Non-federally regulated community development financial institutions, in short for CDFIs, certified by the U.S. Treasury Department. So another Treasury Department issued lately is a $10 billion in grants that I've been speaking to you guys about. And as more states get approved for them, I'm going to keep you guys up to date on what's happening there. So you'll want to stick around. And if you have not subscribed, it is well worth your time. So you don't have to go finding all this information for yourself. And what I do too is I speak with the preferred lenders, SBA lenders, the community, and I go through these meetings where you don't always get access to, and they're not sharing information until I bring it to you. And then I also work with my underwriters and my lenders of all other types of financing institutions. And I know exactly what they want in today's market. I attend conferences, meetings, and so I'm always coming up with the best content for you guys so you guys know what to continue moving forward with. For the SBA Community Advantage Loan Program details, I'm sure you're anxious to find out what that is. And I'm going to get going really quickly here because I have a few things to go and do, and I want to get done in at least the next 10 or so minutes. So please bear with me. And all of this will be down below in the description, if not now, in time, as well as all resources of how to get up to 2 million, 5 million, 10 million business funding without collateral, no hard credit checks, and bad credit is acceptable. So you don't have to worry about giving up something very precious in an asset, or you don't have control over it. Excuse me. I've been speaking a little bit a lot today with quite a few people. So you can only understand how sometimes maybe tired of this, but it's very important for me to come out with this today so you have it. Now, here's what you need to know, an overall look when it comes to getting these. So the loan amount, let's start off there, which I already said earlier. The SBA Community Advantage loans are smaller SBA loans, as you already know, and the available amounts are up to $350,000. So that's what you are going to expect. At a point, there was about $250,000, but it's been raised up. And that's the cool thing about SBA loans, not only with this one, but with like EIDL, if you've noticed, if you've been following for how the increases have been going up steadily up to about 2 million and so, and how that's been changing quarterly and how that's been changing year over year. So that's a cool thing to see with these programs, and you could possibly see it go over, but you can't exceed that. And it's more than getting the 50,000 in microloans, and it's similar to the program where it could be quite difficult to get. So I wouldn't always rely on this one program alone, especially if you're a startup. There may be other options like getting 0% interest for 6 to 18 months with the credit card stacking program. I've had quite a few people asking me about that, and you have to have good to excellent credit on that end, 680 and above with all 3 consumer credit bureaus. I've been through this myself, and it's very crucial that you guys start understanding in today's market. If you haven't been listening to me, you've been just like, oh, this guy just sucks. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to go listen to the guy who has 1 billion views on YouTube. That's not the way to approach this. And even if they had credible information, they may not be sharing everything with you as in depth. They might not be giving you the right alternative. So now you're going through a service you don't even want to end up with a broker or an agent that's not helping you. And they're over promising and under delivering. I don't do any of that. I can attest to that. If I speak to other business owners that I've already helped not only get funding, but even when they don't have no revenue, nowhere else to go, I know how hard it is because I started in your position trying to build a business from scratch. And even if you didn't, you purchased one, you just had experience with it, you acquired another one. I know how difficult it is from going to 0 to just 3,000, 0 to 5,000. It sucks. I know how hard it is. And going from there even higher and how to keep it is what's most important, especially when we're looking at cash flow. Is there a new PPP? Not exactly, Joseph. I welcome you in. Thank you for commenting. What an alternative program to that would be the employee retention tax credit. It's not the new PPP like a lot of people would label it as. It's a refundable tax credit, payroll tax credit. You can get up to $26,000 per employee. If you want to learn more about that, I actually just uploaded a video today on the ERC program. So make sure to check that out down below. I have quite a few if you want to learn if you qualify for that. And I'll be getting into a few other things here in a moment. But the SBA guarantees as much as 85% of the loan amount for loans of 150,000, and this is just pretty much common amongst all like these SBA 7A loans, or less, and as much as 75% for loans of 150,001 and more. So that's what you see as a guarantee. The interest rates, although CA lenders have some discretion in terms of the interest rate, which I see across all boards, the SBA sets a maximum rate of prime rate, which in today's market, we're looking at about 4% interest. And if you're somebody questioning, can I get 3%, 2% interest? It's very difficult to do that, even with the bank nowadays, even if you have excellent fundability. And that fundability means your business credit profile, your personal credit profile, your revenue cash flow profile, your establishment profile, like domain, social, LLC, S Corp, C Corp. How do you identify in your business? And a lot more details. It's not just that. And I've created content on what is fundability and why that's the number one factor that you must get right at the beginning before you even go and apply for a loan. Because if you don't have these things together, if you don't know what you're applying to is going to actually check for credit worthiness, and it's actually going to need to look through your business credit bureaus, at least 1 to 2, or if not all 3 or more, what LexisNexis is, how to report to Dun & Bradstreet with credit card building. This is very important. Now is the time for you not to put it off, because you will regret this. I don't say that lightly, ever. And if you ever hear me say it, I mean it. And if you're not taking advantage of any of this while you're getting private funding and you're not building business credit at the same time, you will be left behind. And by the time that works for you, you're going to be in a position where in the economy, you're not going to be receiving as much funds as you would have if you've gone started today. It's not only the interest rates that's a factor, it's so much more. So you can get rates that range from prime rate for these loans, and then you're looking at an extra 2 to 3%. So you're looking at around 6% to about 9. And that 6% is putting it rather lightly. So think about that. And that's an advantage to getting an SBA loan, because it keeps your payments low. Repayment looks like it's less, and so forth. Repayment terms varies based on borrower qualifications and purpose of your loan. Maximum of 10 years or the useful life of the equipment, maximum 10 years for working capital, and maximum 25 years for real estate. So that's very common, not only with the SBA Community Advantage Loan Program, but you'll see this with other types of SBA 7As where they're going to be requiring you to have utmost of 10 years. And not everybody gets guaranteed to 10 years. It has to be where you have to have a long-term return on your investment. In a lot of cases, you have to show growth and expansion. And that's where these business plans come into play. And a lot of you guys who are just looking at getting funding for just survival, it won't be enough. In a lot of these cases, you have a startup. Well, you're not necessarily looking for survival money, but at the same time you are, because you may not understand your return on your investment, especially if it's a new business. How do you know it in 3 months? You're going to hire 5 people. You have them on your payroll. 1 gets fired, or 3 other ones, they get let go, or they decide they want to go somewhere else. Now you're having to scramble, but it's not stable enough, and you don't have other parts of your business that are making up for that. And so now you're like decreasing your revenue in less than 3 years' time, and just about 6 months from now, you have to think about those things. So that's how it's looked at on 25 years for real estate. Don't think because you can get up to 25 years, it means, or you get a 5 to 10 year usually span with working capital, or it can be 2 to 10 years, which is very common. So fees. SBA Community Advantage loans, they require an upfront SBA guarantee that can range anywhere from 0.25% to 3% based on the loan amount and your repayment terms. Everybody has a different repayment term. The CA lender has some discretion to charge their own additional fees. They are, however, restricted to a maximum processing or application fee of $2,500 per SBA guidelines. So every lender that I know has a different evaluation for your industry, how high risk of an industry it is, how much it takes to actually work through your profile. But you can see the $2,500 there per SBA guidelines. Eligible loan purposes, like other SBA 7A loans, SBA Community Advantage loans can be used for virtually any business purpose: working capital, real estate purchase, renovations, equipment purchases, debt refinancing, consolidation, and more. So any of these expenses is one part of it. You may not even have it, especially if you're just getting started, but you may have some overhead that you need to adjust your numbers to. I was in this position too, so I know how difficult it can be when you have projections. You're only projecting your return on your investment, but are you actually calculating everything that needs to be done. So what I recommend is not always doing this on your own. I can help you through the process if you need to learn how to put a business plan together, what documentation, I'm going to be getting into that a little bit more, will be required. And stick with me, I'll be showing you where to go. So collateral and personal, these loans, they cannot, however, be used as revolving lines of credit, like cap line programs. This is not how that's used. It's a lump sum. Collateral and personal guarantee for loans of $25,000 or less, the CA lender is not required to take collateral, and that's what you see commonly with just about any other SBA 7A loan. For loans above $25,000, on the other hand, SBA guidelines state that the lender should follow the collateral policies they have in place for other similarly, I saw the last few early, size non-SBA loans. Collateral aside, though, SBA Community Advantage loans will require you to put in a personal guarantee. That's just how these work, right? There needs to be a way for the lender to ensure that they're going to get their return, their repayments. If you default on a loan, and it's much harder to default on a loan like an SBA loan, but it's very common you see that outside of this in more cases. And the percentage of approval, like most EIDL loans, it can be very low. So just because it's out there doesn't mean everybody will get approved for. It's kind of like a grant. You have to come into it with the right business plan and mentality. And especially if you have more experience, that will definitely help you overcome it. I've seen it a lot, helping people go through it. But it's not to say that if you don't have experience, you can't get through. So either way you look at it. And there's more in-depth details to that I don't want to get into for the sake of time. But as you can see, how they function with the SBA 7A Standard, Express, Small, and a few other ones. And to this point, this is how they work. And they are very highly desirable. And that's because of the low interest rates and the repayments. And that's an obvious. So the Advantage loan requirements, let me get into that here. Let me locate a different doc. And again, you can't see this. I'm in my docs here. Let me flip over to the next one. It's like a couple pages of this that I put together. And it was for presentation purposes as well. And I had to do it with the group. And I'm not seeing the comments at the moment. If anybody has been commenting, I'll get to that in just a moment. So overall, here are some of the qualifications you'll need to be eligible for the SBA Community Advantage Loan Program. You must be, and this is no exception, a for-profit business in an eligible industry operating in the U.S. So there's a lot to take in there. For-profit, eligible industry, and then operating in the U.S. Must be a small business according to the SBA definition, must have exhausted other traditional financing options. You must have invested some of your own time and money into the business. I've spoken to a lot of people who have done that. It can be a complete startup, self-funded, but it's in a non-operation. But you can prove, see, that's the advantage there. I have $50,000, $60,000 in reserve that I'm going to push into my business, or I have already done this, but this is where I currently stand, and I actually need the help to push me past that point. So this is where you come in. It's kind of like you're talking to a shark on the TV show Shark Tank. They put a royalty. They want a percentage of your business. They want a stake in your company. And so they have to take their part in order for you to earn if what you project to earn or not. So just think about it in that sense. Must have exhausted other traditional financing options. So it's very important that you guys have demonstrated that you've tried to go through these other routes and they just haven't worked. And it could be anything. It could be another SBA 7A loan. It could be an EIDL loan, a 504. It doesn't have to be anything government related. It can be the ERC programs, through the Treasury Department programs, the IRS with the ERC program. And there are quite more with non-private and private lending options. And there's so much in this space. Must have invested some of your own time and money into the business. Must be able to show good character and an ability to repay the loan. So like anything, a background, like who are you and your characteristics? How do you present yourself? How do you speak to somebody of a high status? Like when you speak to me, I want to know, I can hear it in your tonality. I can hear it when you're rushed. I can hear it when you have aggressiveness, and it could be aggressiveness in a very good way or in a bad way. And it could be tonality where I could hear it, your hunger in the voice. Like I spoke to somebody today, I can hear his hunger in his voice. And without him telling me a few things at the end of our conversation on the phone, I told him, I hear it and I see it. And I know this because I was there when I was just getting started with my businesses, and he's completely having to come back full circle. And it's kind of like he's in that same position again where I'm hungry to eat. And he's going to get after it. And he's going to do whatever he can with deliberate purpose, like each and every one of you should have. Have not previously defaulted on any government guaranteed business loans. And we won't get into anything like it's not so much of a factor, but I'll talk about I'll come full circle to this before I say it. So to this point, minimum credit scores you can get as low as as low as a 140. I know that's like extremely bad, but they're not looking at it from that point of view. It's like a grant. They're looking at it from what can you show us? Can you demonstrate proper use for these funds? What are you projecting to do within the next 3 months, in the 6 months, 9 months, in a year's worth time from now? If we were able to revisit this case again, where would you be then? Well, I project because of this, I've set up the business financially to succeed in this format. I understand the accounts payables, the accounts receivables, if anything, and I'm going to understand, okay, my business debt schedule. I don't have anything of that nature yet, but I know what it'll come to be. I know this because I have a family member who works in the same industry who's been trying to help me get started with this. So you have to bring it to the table. And if you can't bring it to the table, these lenders will see right through you. I see right through people. I'm very good at observing others. So come to the table and sit down, and have a proper discussion and think it through. Time in business. Most traditional SBA lenders will require that you have at least 2 years in business, and this is to qualify for an SBA loan. Usually outside of the SBA 7A, but thinking startup, it's different. The SBA Community Advantage Loan Program, on the other hand, is much more startup friendly. Businesses are encouraged to apply regardless of your time in business, as long as you can provide vision for your future. What's that core vision you have? Write those 5 things. And what do you see your mission statement being within your business? So you can say, for example, and I'm going to go into a quick business plan example. I think I have it on the screen. If not, we'll just quite quickly go through this and I can help you on the side. But including financial projections, that's the hugest one they want to see. A thorough business plan and relevant experience in the industry helps. So if you already have experience, and if you're bridging from one business to another, whether you have that other one or not, they want to see also relevant experience. Not to say that they'll disqualify you 110%, but it can be like a hybrid cross bridge of 2 different business models underneath the same industry. They just function differently. Business financials, similar to the time and business requirement, traditional SBA applicants should be able to show strong business financials, ideally that they're profitable. But within this program, there is much more flexibility as long as you can show a solid business plan and financial projections. That's all that's usually being asked for, and I'll go into some of the documentations. They should be willing to work with you. Like, if I see that and I forward it over to a lender and I took a look at it, this is what I did with EIDL, and this is what I've done with these. I check your email and I make sure it is properly put together, and that before it gets sent through, that everything is in place. So how to apply for an SBA Community Advantage Loan, I'll be getting into the share screen here in a moment, so please stick with me. You'll want to go directly through the SBA. It's not so much of I take this a lot of the times and I put it in-house. It has to be directly through the SBA program. There's a difference between that. A lot of the in-house stuff that I'm able to do, I'm able to talk with my lenders and my underwriters, and we are able to review the file, especially with other SBA loans, and look at it there before we then say, hey, we're going to take a hard credit pull on this later on. Or, hey, before we get extensive into the underwriting process, they may look like you don't qualify because we looked at this. So that's what I talk about when I mean, it's what I mean in-house. And it's a great setup and a great way to come through. And it's what I highly recommend each and every one of you do. So over here, let me look through my doc over here. Have it scattered a bit. Put some notes down really quickly. Okay, so after you've identified your lender, and I'll show you how this works, although some of the required documentation will vary depending on that lender, you can expect to provide some, if not all, of the following: general, personal, and business information. It's just it's like at the very top. It's like when you fill out an EIDL loan or application, and when you submit a request for approval, a reconsideration, loan modification, denial, what are they asking? Your business and personal information. And that's what it looks like on every other type of business funding app. And I'll get to you guys' questions and comments in just a moment. I do want to go through this rather quickly. Business and personal tax returns, right? But I don't have any business tax returns yet. Well, that's fine. Well, what can we look at within your personal tax returns? If you have business tax returns, great, submit that. If not, It's fine. Business financial statements, bank statements, business plan, huge. Business debt schedule, like I mentioned earlier, and I won't get into how to fill all that out. I help businesses do that. Resumes of company management. Now that speaks for itself, but I won't get into the specifics of how these resumes will look like in this video. Collateral and personal guarantee, at least you can state if you have any collateral, if you have any sufficient equity, equipment, inventory, accounts receivable, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And if you're a startup business, another one that I recommend are what I just said. And if you can look at doing 401k IRA financing, you can inject that from your previous employers, which you should have if you've been working underneath more than one employer. And you can take that 401 and then use it underneath your current business. So it's like you're almost paying yourself as on interest. So you take it out, you pay interest to the employer, which is yourself, through yourself. I know it sounds a little complicating, so I don't want to get too far in depth on that. So that's a bit of the information on this Community Advantage program. And usually it can be very quick of an approval. It can take somewhere within 7 to 10 days to approve. So it can be rather quickly as opposed to a traditional SBA 7A loan. And it may take another 30 days, who knows, under the final underwriting once we get to that point. So we might give you an approval and say, hey, yes, but then an additional 30 days, we'll have to look through a few more information. And so that's just the beginning. And then just know it could be about 40 to 45 days, which is very common with most SBA loans. And this is not the only one. So the SBA Community Advantage Program and certain SBA programs will include a Form 413 or 413, the Personal Financial Statement, and Form 1919, the Borrower Information Form. It's common stuff. I've had to go through this. The SBA Community Advantage Loan Program may also require, and again, it depends per lender, and this one may vary, Form 2449, or other words, Form 2449, which is an addendum to Form 1919 and specific to this program. So let me see. I think that's going to cover everything. Let me make sure I didn't miss a beat, and then I'll turn over to you guys in just a moment. I have a few documents that I put together over time that I haven't fully all put into one because it's continuously changing, as you might have already thought. So again, you have positive, let me just reiterate some of these points in case you're just joining. You have positive historic or projected cash flow. You have positive net worth or available equity to contribute to your business. You have business assets or real estate to pledge as collateral. Huge, especially if you have enough. It's like no-brainer. You have no revenue, pre-revenue. Well, we have assets. We can look at the appraisal. We can see how much we can actually inject out, and then we can give you this amount. Sorry, a fly just flew right across, and sometimes it lands on the screen. Like, it likes to visit me. I don't know what it is. I smell good. Just so in case you're wondering, this guy probably doesn't smell good. I do. I have deodorant on. But and I did shower this morning after my workout. But I've probably been working up a sweat for being here on video, one, and then two, doing a lot of work. Usually I finish before 12 o'clock, and anything after that I devote to miscellaneous tasks. But you have business assets or real estate to pledge as collateral. You have fair to good personal credit score and management experience in the industry your business operates in. Your business is an industry that has growth and positive business trends. So it's the market right now. Like I said, the economy, especially in a lot of these, like one of those being contracting, it's become big, but the current economy doesn't always give you the amount of funding you want, the maximum. Sometimes it didn't even, the terms are even far less, and the rates may be a little bit higher depending on your track record. So we spoke about what you can use it for: business acquisition, permanent working capital, purchase of inventory, purchase of furniture, fixtures, and equipment, leasehold improvements or renovations, purchase owner-occupied commercial real estate, debt refinance, and anything else that I just listed right up above. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Approvals, 35 to 45 days after you submit it. Terms up to 10 years for general funding, up to 25 years for real estate purposes and these purchases. I'm looking at my other screen. I'll get on the share screen here in a moment just to make sure. So in a traditional business plan, what you guys want to have are these details. And I can help you out with this, but there's quite a few of this. Executive summary is what I would start off with at the very top. This is where you will briefly tell your reader what your company is, in this case, the lender, and why it will be successful. So you should limit that to about 2 to 4 sentences, I would say. So similar to like the EIDL when you start it, include your mission statement a part of this, your product or service, and basic information about your company's leadership team, employees, and the location. So this is all stuff that I can help you with. And I can actually double check it in case you know what you're doing, and I'll have some examples for you down below, or maybe I'll send it to you in a questionnaire. So it's very important to fill that out, and I'll have some examples on how they work and what people have been able to do. You should also include financial information and high-level growth plans if you plan to ask for financing, especially with financing. With no leverage, you don't have no revenue, you can't self-fund yourself in any other way, then you have to have high leverage growth. Company description, you have to use your company description to provide detailed information about your company. Go into detail about the problems that your business will solve right now. Maybe it's something that has been solved in the future. In the future, it will be, because there's always problems to solve. But how will that problem be solved is one other thing that they want to look at. Not only the problem that will be solved, like the what, but the who will be solving that. Like if you have a team of people, and the what. So the more specific you can be on this, it's crucial. That's why you have to have a foundation. Be specific, list out the consumers, organization or businesses your company plans to serve. And what I've seen a lot in these cases, if you have proper structure and you have a team of people that can help you on this, and they see how focused you are on one specific section, and you might be focused on all. But if you can tell a lender, hey, lender, I'm in operations. I have my accountants, financial accounting, and then on the left side here, I have my marketing and sales team. Let me show you how this will operate. Then in about 3 months' time, I will be here. And this is stuff that you can easily figure out. And just coming together and putting it in one, you can put it down in a document and submitting it. Organization and management, I'm not going to spend too much time, but the legal structure of your business, service or product line, what services, what products does your business offer? Do you have recurring customers? What's the return on the investment per customer? What's the lifetime value of a customer? We always say this in our world. What's the LTV? Not to get into with real estate terminology, LTV and a few other things, or long-term value or loan to value if you're talking real estate, and a few more. Marketing and sales, a huge part. And this is where your bread and butter will come in, because they want to see projections. Hey, what is your marketing and sales team going to do? Your goal in this section is describe how you will not only attract, but retain your customers. How are they paying you? On what terms? If you can even pay back the loan. And if so, how much are you going to be able to pay back? And what is available? You'll also describe how a sale will actually happen. You refer to this section later when making your financial projections. So make sure you go through it thoroughly to complete marketing and sales strategies. The funding request, financial projections, appendix, and examples. I will try to leave you some down below. We may be able to jump into it here and so forth. So key partnerships, key activities you're going to be doing, and just going through your key resources of your business, and having a value proposition, having the right customer relationships, segmenting your customers, the different channels of attracting customers, cost structure, revenue streams, how much you're going to be generating, and what types of revenue streams. Example, lean business plan is included. So let me jump into the tab here. I think I have one more thing I want to mention. Yeah, so I told you it expired September 30th, 2024. And maximum interest rates, 50,000 or less, with prime rates with Wall Street Journal. As that fluctuates, you might see it go up, even triple over time, plus 6.5%. Greater than 50,000 up to and including 250,000. Prime rates plus 6%, greater than 250,000 up to and including 350,000. WSG, which is with Wall Street Journal, prime plus the 4.5%. So again, it might not always be an offered program, but it's in there nonetheless to help you out. And promise zones, opportunity zones, rural areas, low to moderate income communities, empowerment zones, and enterprise communities, historically underutilized business zones, new businesses, those in operation for less than 2 years, businesses that are 51% or more owned and controlled by one or more veterans, and businesses where more than 50% of full-time workforce is low income or resident in these communities. So the low to moderate communities. Now, I think that's it. Let me jump into the share screen here, and I'll try to answer some questions as I go along. But share screen. Okay, this should be it. So what you're looking at on the screen is where you can go and get matched with these community advantage lenders. Not only them, but a variety: micro lenders, non-for-profits, nonprofits, community organizations, and different departments, and you can get a better look at it by starting here. Connects you to the lenders you need to, and it shows you how it works down here. Describe your needs, get matched in 2 days, talk to the lenders, apply for a loan, and what parts of the information they'll be requesting, and similarly to what we want to. And I can get more extensive into each and one of these sections. So business plan, amount of the use of funds, credit history, final projections, or financial projections, excuse me. I have this screen lighting on. Collateral, industry experience, and details on what would happen next. So I'll try to link you to this down below in the description so you can get started. And there's some FAQ questions there. What would happen next? And the process of how you would be contacted, but you want to start here. And I've done this already in the past myself. And so it says here, first and foremost, stop. If you are applying for an economic injury disaster loan in response to COVID-19, that program is closed. If you are seeking financial financing for your business with an SBA guaranteed loan, proceed with the form below. So just simply fill this information out, some business information, personal information, very standard part of the application process. And then you will be able to go through there, and you'll have your own portal if you don't have that already, and you'll be able to move forward from there. Now, I think I have another piece of information I want to jump into. Let me see if I can locate it here on one of my tabs. And I will get to your guys' questions here in just a moment. That's not the one I needed. Let's open up this one. So you have an idea now of the Community Advantage Loan Program and what they would be requiring you to have, and what overall they're looking at. So now let me turn over here to the comments, and I'll end it with one more thing. Oh, and then I'll get into the ERC program and so forth. Let me move this so I can. I'm going to move the lighting on here so it might get dark really quickly. I'll bring it back up. What would be the best advice for building credit? Good question, Gerardo. Now, that question can lead in so many more directions because it isn't as specific. If we're talking building business credit, or are we talking building personal credit? Are we talking about the two? If you're building business credit, you like I say this over and over, you want to have the fundamentals down. The fundability details need to be crisp, top shape. That means your personal, your business information, your identity. And there's so much that this entails that I can only cover so much right now. But I have a free video series on building business credit. You guys can check out down below in the description. Make sure to pick that up. It's free. I'll walk you through all the foundations of what I've been able to do for myself. Obviously, I can't show you my actual numbers or the legal stuff that I can't share with you for disclaimer purposes, and I don't want to get in trouble. And it's protective information that I don't want to put out there. I'm sure you guys wouldn't want to do that, and you can understand that. But personal credit, there are little things you can do that doesn't require you to work through Metro 2 compliance, disputing. There are just few little things. It may be you wanting to move up a few points, and it could be just a quick boost. And it may be something where you're just overlooking it. And again, that can cover a lot of different areas, but I have a video down below on fixing and improving credit even before you start with credit repair. Hopefully that helps. Hi, Gerardo again. Thanks for all your information and videos. I appreciate you very much. Gerardo, I know you're a regular on this channel. You've heard me say that, and I'm appreciative of you tuning in and always being brave and courageous enough, because I don't say that lightly. I'm not a person also who just lightly comments on other people's videos. I'm an observer. But when I want to learn, I'll ask a question a lot of times. What's in the recipe? I know if you guys are wondering what's he talking about. So Gerardo has heard me talking about, he's maybe seen me drink a green juice. Sometimes the cup is right next to me, or it'll be on my side, or it'll already be sitting in the sink, washed, or already put it away. And it's just a concoction of, it could be like pineapples, celery, spinach, the greens. Sometimes it's broccoli. I know how nasty that may sound to some of you guys, but what it is, it's a stimulant, everyone. Like a stimulus program. This is like my stimulus program. This is actually what gets me going every single day. And by this point, I'm already like tired. So I usually do these videos earlier, but it is something that pushes me to keep going. And if you could combine those ingredients into that, it is going to give you a huge push. Put some water in it, blend it. You can even put a few fruits in there, like I mentioned. Wouldn't go too crazy with it. Apples, something that it's a good complement to everything outside of pineapples. I'd probably start off with apples, combine those, and then put them together. And then there's a few bits more of information in there. So, which loan is best for an independent contractor? Good question, Joseph. Oh, here. Sorry, I'm showing you guys the screen there. I'll come back to the share screen in a moment. 1099s. There's self-employed gig worker funding. Have you filled out the questionnaire on my site? If you have, maybe I already responded back. If not, I'll do it in time. And that goes for everybody in here. But there's up to 5,000 in funding you can receive. Nothing more than that. Once you get over the 5,000, you have to be doing at least 5,000 in average monthly revenue on your lowest month. And if you qualified for more funding, you're doing 15,000 and above, sometimes 20 or 30. Then you can qualify for up to 75%, if not up to 150 or 200%. And then there's a lot of stuff we look at, like the bank statements and all the stuff that gets sent to me. So I'll leave information for that down below. I'm genuinely happy to see you here. Thanks for always being on this live and commenting as well. I appreciate you. Lowrider looking to buy a mattress by appointment only franchise. Understood. 15,000 to start, includes inventory. So you're saying you need 15,000 to have this business? That's how I take it. This might be an option for you. I don't know. Do you have any relevant experience in that industry? Nice. You already have business credit? No. If you have business credit and you need startup business funding, there's no really private lenders that will like, hey, here's money, pay it back to me in 6 months. Especially those 6 months, you would need it usually over 2 to 3 years, not even a year over, in what I've seen. And so no private lender will just do that. There's VC funding, angel investors, 401k crowdfunding, startup funding for credit card stacking. You want to build business credit. That's what I would keep leaning into. Genuinely, that's what I would do, full throttle. And if you can build business credit, as well as if you, I don't know what your FICO is, but you don't have to share that. And if it is 680 and above, and you have clean, crisp credit history, credit worthiness is a factor. You may not have well enough business credit established, not enough reporting trade lines, but you can still get in. So when you clean that up and you get access to these credit cards, that can help you build business credit. And you're doing it through your EIN and not your social security number. And you don't have to worry always about having a personal guarantee. And if you have that ball rolling, now you're over here, your business is generating revenue. So if you do it correctly, there should be no question of you generating revenue in your business and generating more. But it's a question also of how much are you funding your business and how much are you putting back into your business on what your profits are and what you receive month to month. So you got to break it down that way. And I know there's not much of a clear answer to that. And there's not one where, hey, you could do it this way, unless you go the PayPal working capital route. There are some solutions there, but you have to have history with them. And if you don't have sufficient history with them, they may not give you any kind of an offer. So there are those options. Maybe there's no credit check. And they say sometimes there's no personal guarantee, yet there is one. You just have to qualify for them in a lot of cases. If you don't have sufficient history, you're not showing you're making these payments on time, you're not having a personal or a business relationship with these people and these companies, and it's harder to get qualified. And it also goes deeper because right now you guys have to build relationships. That gets you access, opens up more doors to other funding services, to the same funding services and more, helps you on the back end if you're building business credit, how you're reporting to the agencies and what's happening there and how much access they give you. I can spend another time on this, but that's where I'm going to leave it at. Let's see. I don't think I have it yet on the description. I think I have a link. Yeah, I think I have a link where it says get up to 2 million. If you click that link, I think it takes you to a video or directly to the page. So go there. If it's a video, watch it. In the description, it should have a link. Just get started there. It might bring you to a general website page, and you might want to click on the tab that says self-employee funding. Click there, and then you'll see some of the qualifications more or less of, I haven't really gone through them in this video. But I'll try to link it to you guys in time. Just start there, and that's where you want to get your application. You could also fill out the questionnaire as well. So quick points on PPP, EIDL, ERC. and so forth. PPP forgiveness right now, that's what's happening. Make sure you guys go get it forgiven if you can, however much you can. I won't spend a lot of time on this because I created a piece of content on it just recently. Nothing has changed except that there has been more discoveries of fraudulent activity, unfortunately, a lot more. And a lot of businesses have been suffering. A lot of people just have been just complaining that I didn't do this, but I did do that. And that's where you get liable. And then that's where a lot of the complications come from. So if you weren't one of those people who caused fraudulent activity, there's no need to worry about it. But it still is a big issue if you're not using the funds correctly, how they were supposed to be. EIDL, again, like I said earlier, not much has changed there. Funds have been exhausted, except for those who have been receiving emails. There are some recovery funds, or what I like to say, reserve funds, that you may not get as soon, but it may be something you get in about a month, 2 to 3 months in time as they're approving these, and if you're being considered for it. Employee retention tax credit, getting up to $26,000 per employee. I spoke about that in the beginning. You guys can check that out as a refundable tax credit. The $10 billion in grants, small business or business loans. I don't want to just say small business loans because that's usually what it pertains to. The equity, check that out. I have a video for you guys. I'll link you to down below where it'll walk you through it even more in depth. And everything else, it's really just private lending and non-private lending, not related to the government, the Treasury Department, and the IRS, which is very helpful. And I cover content on all of that I won't get into in this video. So make sure you guys check that out. And I'm going to quickly transition to this piece of documentation. One other thing too, the Community Advantage Program, if anything does change where you have to go and apply through, because it does change at times, I'll let you guys know about it. So let me see if I have it. No, here it is. Okay. Last thing. So this is the questionnaire form that I've been talking about this whole time. If you guys want to be evaluated and analyzed for what you can get funding for, very personalized and customized to meet your needs, and get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding much faster so you don't have to waste time. We're talking about days, weeks, months, and even years. Then check this out. You can literally fill it out in less than 30 seconds. It'll look like this more or less. I offer more services than what is shown here. This is just a handful, and then how it works. And I have been for some time one of the biggest help for people getting business funding of all types, where I can match you with the best underwriting team, the best lenders, bar none. You've probably already heard of them out there. But there are ways you have to go about this. It doesn't always benefit you to go directly. If I send you directly, there is a reasoning behind that. And if you don't go directly, which in a lot of cases you won't, it's better to get multiple offers. But it doesn't mean we're just shotgunning approaching and sending you your file to all these lenders who then will pull credit in bad ways, or they will send it to another third party. We don't do that. We don't go about it that way. I was looking for a word on my mind right now. I just had it right now. Social finesse. I just had it. It's always that one word that doesn't always come to my mind right away. Not siphoning, but just had the word. But we'll just leave it at that. We don't do any of the send. We will show it to various lenders and say, hey, who would be the best fit? Maybe you get multiple offers, but it won't affect your credit just by doing that over and over. There's no hard credit inquiry on those, most of all, when we're talking non-SBA solutions. You're welcome. So make sure to check that out. Everything will be down below in the description for you to get started. Any questions, comments, or concerns, please voice it to me. Leave it for me in the comment section. If you got value out of this, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with others who you feel will get value out of it. It can be a complete stranger, a friend, or a family member, but you know at the end of the day they can go to bed like this. Just put yourself in my shoes. If I was learning from you and I was able to go to bed feeling comfortable, knowing that tomorrow this is what I have to do to get what I need, that would make you feel better, wouldn't it? And so check that out. Make sure if you feel comfortable sharing it with others, please do. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so and click the bell notification icon so you do not miss any future videos I will be coming out with. As I'm checking tabs really quickly to make sure everything is covered. Yeah, that will conclude this video. That'll be all for now. Talk to you all soon.